About 24 weeks ago, we came in with a goal, basically, to figure out what was beyond the journey's end, what it was in store for the characters and everyone that would be introduced to come past that point. And as us, as the viewers, are basically coming to our own journey's end here, I'm very excited to see how all that kind of gets wrapped up. There's a lot of different things that they can do. Do I know which one we're going to go down? No. I'm hoping we do showcase the ending of everybody else's exams and how their own kind of interview with Siri ends up going here. And if she just ends up failing all of them, or if any of the other candidates pique her interest. I wouldn't be shocked for whatever reason if somebody like Yubel or Denkin or Land, those are the three really on my mind, end up kind of catching her interest a little bit for whatever the reason would be. I just feel like she might see something. And more so Denkin's situation, it isn't that he's worthy of it, but it's almost like his reasons for wanting to become one, that she might be able to sense like something in that that makes her kind of a little bit sympathetic, I guess, towards him, despite the fact that we've seen that she doesn't like to be honest with her own feelings. So I don't actually know, but I'd be interested, I guess, hopefully that they do show that. And they do a really excellent job with pacing throughout this series and actually showcasing you like each and every little thing that you kind of want to see happen, as opposed to just kind of jump cutting to something else. So likely we will end up getting to see that, but I'm excited for where we go from there. But it's after the fact of that, because that'll only take roughly a few minutes probably. Where do we go? Do we set things up? Do we have a nice little like wrap up and real nice closure onto the things that we've seen? Do we, I don't know, like which direction do we really go there? Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be great, and I'm sure I will absolutely love it, and hopefully it will give us a good sense at least as to where our characters might be heading next and what the new goal kind of is, which I guess the goal is realistically just to hit the end. So there's probably isn't like anything in between, but maybe something will arise, or maybe we'll kind of form somebody else into the party. Maybe we'll do something. And I've been kind of under the suspicion for whatever reason that Denkin will end up joining us at some point here. So I wouldn't be shocked if that happens by the back end of this episode, where we all just kind of agree, all right, let's go together. But I don't know, I'm excited, and I'm interested to see. If you guys are interested in just hearing my thoughts overall on the series as a whole, feel free to stick around for after the actual episode, the discussion at the end. I'll leave a timestamp for that. But yeah, if you like it all, the like and subscribe do mean a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. Leave any comments with this episode series. This is a Toho animation show. It will get blocked at some point, so I am avoiding that by just muting the anime audio throughout the entirety of this. If you still want to watch it with audio, check the link in the description. If you don't, just stick around there at this. And hopefully you guys all enjoy. Let's get going though with our series finale, or season 1, hopefully, finale of FRIEREN Beyond Journey's End, episode 28. Those cold eyes staring us down. Not even phased, I knew. One of my favorite things with certain series is coming all the way to the end here, getting to the final episode, and actually like really paying attention to the OP. And just seeing like all the things that were hinted at or like showcased and spoiled for you almost the entire way through, that you probably just didn't realize until to be relevant and within the series. So I'm interested to see what else I can see here. Oh, you don't get an instant feel, buddy. Lies. Mmm. The potential that you probably had then versus what you have now. Yeah. They love showing our feet. They absolutely do. Hey, I'm not complaining. Hmm. I immediately just said it's not worth it. Wow. Just showcase something completely different. Not even a discussion. Just sensed it. Hmm. It's obvious. The boy. You agree with son yourself? Hmm. We're both here. Oh, what the fuck? What a fucking what the hell? I love him. He's great. Hmm. Sure. She likes that, yeah. Well, same as me. We're passing way more people than I thought. I thought we were gonna have three. And all three of those got their instantly, but alright. That's a lot of people. Makes sense, makes sense. hmm Going home, baby. Proud of you, brother. Okay. Go our separate ways. Just trying to get you a reward. Why not both? This is a big accomplishment. Well, make sure he spoils her as much as he can now. Look at the smile instantly goes on her face. Yeah, you two would be great friends, actually. What the hell? Ah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, you're good, brother. Yeah. Well, I got this person. That's why he spoils her. God damn, what the fuck? I didn't think it was then. Ugh. Hmm. Do all that, but I can't save a person. Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Hmm. Yeah, I was just gonna say. She's definitely around. I don't know what's she up to. Nice. Aw. But I'm holding all these books. Nice. Magic is so wonderful, isn't it? I was holding a bunch of stuff. Mmm. That's part of the game. Aw. Yeah. I don't think so. It would hurt. My world would be ruined. Hmm. See, this is the stuff I thought we were going to get in the conversation with her. Thought we were going to get down to like people's intentions and things. Hmm. So now we're learning through everything that we're having specifically with FRIEREN, right? All the connections that her and Himmel and everybody else in influence that they've basically had on this next generation of mages and the stories and stuff that got passed down. It's pretty cool. Hmm. So it makes you want to aspire to almost be someone who can accomplish similar things. Yep. Yep. The simple things. I love his coat. Now you've made some good friends along the way. That's awesome. I like how all the groups are kind of sticking together in ways. It's crazy. But they can change people. And in the short term, they might seem insignificant, but awesome. The greatest. Hmm. And those little things you did impacted them so, so much. Created this whole new generation. Oh my god. Why? I didn't even want to take this damn test. I wonder what she's gonna get. I don't even think about that they still have to get them. Can we get answers to this now? Hmm. Yo, the guy who noticed the emblem before, and the guy from last episode. I don't remember what his name. Learning. Yeah. Sorry about her. The intent to kill. Wow. Born in the wrong generation. Yep. Mm, gotcha. That was the intentions all last episode when she mentioned it. This isn't gonna go well, I don't think, for you, but you might be a problem, so who knows? Such a cool sound effect, too. Holy fuck. You can't request it after you already began to attack. They don't have rules where you're just not allowed to attack like that. Oh, of course, there was another thing. Yeah. Through the spell that you said you hate, huh? Yeah. What's up with that? Want to explain it? Well, that's the only way that you value it. Yeah. Mm. They impacted you in more ways than you expected. Again. So I guess I'll do that for you. How happy she was. What did you get? Hmm. Yep. Are we leaving? All the friends and everybody's made over the days. He really makes his way around. All right, buddy. We get. Thank you. Don't shut him down for once. Hmm. Yeah, he's great with people, especially old men. This is big. This is big. None. No. You look happy. Does it clean things? There's something like useless, but good for you. Wow, you're so lucky. Hmm. From the lady who hates all these useless spells, of course, she's got all of them, though. Hmm. Just like me. I wonder what everyone else took on. We're probably never gonna get to know. Yeah, they gave her the face. The girls. They gotta say goodbye. Cool. Yep, keep growing. Till we meet again. It's sad. I grew to like a lot of the characters a lot more than I expected. Hmm. It's just because he intends to see them again, so it doesn't matter. And you're always gonna remember them anyways. Yeah. Hmm. Awesome. Just like miles after they asked. And with that, we wrap everything up nice and neatly in a way that we can continue our journey to the end, but still kind of leave a lot of things developing, give us a lot of things to be hopeful for, look forward to, give a lot of background to a lot of these characters and bring them to life a little bit more and develop them further past what we've already kind of been given by a lot of them. And I think all of it just came together so excellently. And it's such a perfect stopping point, basically, for us here until we decide to dive a little bit further into the things that are to come. In typical fashion with finales to series, this will probably, for the actual episode itself and this discussion, will probably be rather short, and then we'll spend the bulk of our time, I'd assume, on talking about the actual series like in its entirety. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason I always end up doing things that way, so I'm just gonna assume that it's likely to be that way. And I don't know if it's like a thing where I just don't like really want to like thoroughly discuss and like speculate as to like things to come and like what's going to happen, or like all the things like in the deep meanings and everything kind of behind them, because there's nothing that I'm going to have answered in the immediate future. until we get more, because I have zero intention of going to actually read further past this. So for me, it's going to be like minimum 2 to 3 years until I learn more. So like to really go in depth, especially at this moment, I don't feel is too necessary, and I'll kind of be satisfied regardless if I do that or not. But we will skim through and talk about that stuff a little bit, and the things I liked and didn't throughout the episode, of course. But I don't know. It's a weird thing, I would say. For whatever reason, I just never really in too interested in like going overly in depth with a lot of that stuff. Unless I know like a new season's like right around the corner, it's like a split core or something. But I don't know. I got nothing like that I'm really thinking out or like stood out that I really want to discuss about the episode. So we're just gonna skim through a little bit and talk about some things as they kind of go along. And we start off with Denkin, and I love the idea of just immediately failing all the people who are useless, having them come in first, then having all the people come in later on who are actually going to likely end up passing, and these people get a little bit more discussion with Sari. And I wonder if that's a decision that was also made through like in the manga, or if they had a little bit more discussion maybe and then immediately had all of that cut off. Like I wonder if the discussions were similar to like when Kane came in and hers was like, you fail, but then like I explained like the reason just due to you asking, like if all the other characters had the exact same thing happen and they just kind of had to explain it and had like a variety of different reasons maybe. But I don't know, like I'm interested if all that happened, or if she just literally was like to everybody else like, all right, you fail, and then they just left, like no questions asked or anything. Anyways, she starts talking to Denkin a little bit, and about like the things that make him different, right? About how she wishes almost that she met him when she was younger because of the amount of potential and everything that she could kind of see in him here. And that and how strong, and just the thought, the brain capacity that this man has, to go through and rise to the ranks in the way that he kind of did. So imagine if he was under her wing from the beginning, the things that he possibly could have accomplished along the way would have been such a spectacular thing. So it's a bit unfortunate it took till now, but at the same time, he had no real reason to become a first class mage or ever get certified in this sort of way until now, right? He had no real reasons for that. So I think that's really cool. At the same exact time, though, her reasons is they look at each other and basically she's like, you looked at me and you thought about fighting me, and I wonder, I wonder if it was like, I probably can't do anything with like actual magic. Maybe I just need to like use my hands a little bit. And that was like the first thought that came to his mind. I don't know, but I do wonder what it was. But she thought that was like impressive almost in itself that he even thought about that idea. So she was like, all right, you're good, bro. Like, because nobody would dare to even begin thinking about that. I love how Yubo comes in and just immediately gets past. She's the quickest one. Everybody else had like a discussion in some sort of way. Her, it was just like, I don't even want to talk to you, but you're good. And she just accepts it, which I absolutely love. I love Land as well, of her just being like, you can't even bring your actual like version of yourself here. And then he brings out another one. She's like, are you fucking stupid? And then we find out the actual version of him is at home and has never even participated in the test. So even all the other ones we saw at U-Will just weren't him. He's so cool. I actually love him. And I pray we get more of him throughout the series and as it continues to progress, because he seems so interesting and there's so much that we can play with him. But I really like that. She likes Warble a lot more, just because his ideas behind using magic and the intentions for it and what's so great about it and everything is like the exact things that she wants to hear and relates to her on a level that she absolutely loves. So he doesn't have like anything that he really likes or doesn't like, and he just kind of uses magic for killing and to stopping like the people and protecting himself and everything at the end of the day. And she's just like, yeah, I fuck with that. So she was able to pass him kind of instantly, which I thought was pretty cool. I love how this is the only line of dialogue that she like gets out of it. And immediately she was just like, yeah, I guess, sure, you're good. Like, I'm not even gonna talk to you, I just sense it, which I really like. Apologizing 2 cents just because she's like, yeah, you were right, this batch is pretty good, and it makes sense. I also love them just walking off together there in that moment. Fern coming down and was so excited about passing and gets the praise from FRIEREN, which is great. A little talk with Denkin and they end up parting ways. We're trying to get Fern a gift. It almost, I don't know if he's getting her like as a gift or if she's just picking something out for herself, but regardless, we end up all meeting up here and then going out together here, and we learn a lot more about Denkin and his backstory and his upbringing and the things that he's kind of been through and all the things that he's kind of lost over time and the way that he feels about like the use of magic and a bunch of other things and how powerless in a way that he can kind of feel. But ultimately it comes to one conclusion by the back end and something that he wishes that he can be able to tell FRIEREN in a way of like, the journey that she basically went on with her and Himmel and everybody is something that is kind of taught him in a way, or it got him interested in the idea of wanting to actually go out of his way, and influenced him to wanting to become a mage in some sort of way. And while he's always used it for maybe not the greatest of things, being able to see her and the things that she's capable of and the things that she does and everything is kind of giving him that energy again, that hope and that joy within magic, and realizing how special and unique and just cool it can be in general, and kind of resparking that initial feeling that you almost get when you like really get into something. That passion for him kind of comes back, and I think that's really, really sweet. But him being able to pass now, he's luckily able to go and meet back up and see his wife's grave, which we absolutely love. And I'm very happy for him being able to do that. I, for whatever reason, was just I figured he would be able to pass, but if he didn't, I just assumed he would end up coming with us, and we would kind of do that. But I guess that's not the case, and we ended up not bringing anybody new with us, which is really interesting too. We ended up talking to Wearable a little bit, and we learn a lot more about his backstory, and the way that he basically feels the use of magic, and the way that he kind of approaches everything. These stories and things of him absolutely hating them, thinking that they're just like pointless and stupid, that these people are being told. Basically, all came down to him at the end realizing that the impact and influence of these little things that he almost feels as though they were like practically useless and just nothing, ultimately wound up making him who he is, right? It turned him and allowed him to realize like how special just doing little things for other people, and how impactful you can kind of be in leaving your name and your legacy at the end of the day, but also just kind of influencing them in keeping their spirits up and keeping them kind of pushing onwards more and more throughout their own life. And I think that's a great thing, because like it's the same thing that we get as we immediately see with the Himmel flashback, as we end up seeing, where he's like, yeah, there's no like real reasons for going out of our way and really helping people, but it's just like, why not, right? Like it can't hurt. And he's like, yeah, it probably won't influence their lives in any sort of way, but the thing is, it actually does. And it might not be something that you immediately can kind of realize in that moment, but it's something that'll last with people, and it sticks with them over time, and it develops and grows people that we end up seeing within this crop of people or this crop of mages that we ended up getting taking this exam. And a lot of them can be impacted and influenced through the things that he kind of has taught the rest of his members in his party, and they all kind of came together and started doing. And FRIEREN is also taken after now, you know, and all these other people have basically grown to become like this, and it creates the era of peace that we're in has such excellent people, you know, who actually like look after each other and help them out, and has, you know, changed people and just the world itself for better at the end of the day. And I think that's really cool. We end up finding out that FRIEREN can't come with us to go get the privilege, and they end up all not going and just kind of leaving for her to be by herself. Because of course Siri's just being a little childish and doesn't want to actually let her be involved, which is really sad. I feel bad for her, but she almost expects it, which I mean, it is what it is. Poor thing. We're talking a little bit with Stark, and then this guy Lernan ends up showing up, and we talk to him a little bit, and we learn a little bit about him more past what we've already kind of seen and realized last episode, when it was like this guy might end up being a problem, and his pursuit almost for wanting to attack and fight against FRIEREN, which was what we ended up seeing Ciri talk about. I mean, and Ciri even said if you have the opportunity to, you probably won't be able to end up fighting her anyways, like, which is what we kind of firsthand see here in this moment of him going out of his way and basically trying to attack her. He doesn't actually want to end up being forgotten in any sort of way. He doesn't want to have something where he just isn't able to leave his legacy behind at all, where he doesn't have this thing where Ciri kind of doesn't remember her, where nobody can kind of remember her either, where she doesn't remember any of her like students or him or anything, and he made no positive impact in any sort of way. Just unfortunately somebody who was born in the wrong era, right? But we end up finding out that's not the case at all. We end up, you know, looking a little bit more into the things that were like pretty noticeable and just funny to think about last episode, when, you know, she calls the spell of the flowers and everything useless as she's standing in this thing and like constantly like looking and observing and playing around with these things. It's like, where did they come from? I guarantee you used a spell. Like, I guarantee you there was something certain that you used here. So it's like, where did this end up coming from? So she ends up kind of being like, yeah, well, you know, she was a failure at all this, and never honest with her feelings, of course, about the things that she likes and doesn't, and how she actually feels, and all these useless things that she talks about But eventually, even if her students don't end up making a mark at any sort of way, she remembers so many things about them, right? The reason why she can remember Flum's, her spells and everything, right? And her favorite things that she kind of liked, right? The reasons why she remembers so many of these different like little personality traits and things about all the students and stuff that she's taken on over the years. These people do leave a lasting impact on you. And it's the same thing that we can kind of observe that it connects perfectly with the things that we're getting from all the other characters and how they're thankful almost for FRIEREN and for the Party of Heroes for basically setting that great example of like the type of person almost to live by, and the way that those people can kind of affect and influence your life over time. And it might not be something that you immediately realize, right? You might not immediately be like, oh, I'm going to take on this person, or I'm going to start acting like this and it's going to change everybody and it's going to be great. But it's like enough people start doing that and start being influenced through the things that you're actually doing. It creates something so special at the end of the day where you can remember these things, and these people do impact and influence you in the way that you approach everything. And I think that's so great. And it all comes full circle here. FRIEREN ends up just leaving. She's like, I'm not fighting you. I love Fern running down here, so excited to tell everybody about like what she got. I think it's so sweet. Find out all the people that Stark ended up, communicating with and helping out and everything along the way too. Great dude. All the time that he had basically being alone. So of course, but I love that how Fern even notices like, damn, everybody fucking likes you everywhere we go. Real people pleaser. I love how the privilege that she chose is absolutely nothing like of use, but it's just one of those things. It's like, it's stupid, but it's great. And I say it's nothing of use. It's nothing of like, it's not going to positively impact like anybody really, but it's something great for her. It eases her mind a little bit about having to wash her clothing and do everything. So I love that. How awesome it is that FRIEREN sees this and how excited she is, because they love the little spells like this. It's also great how like, even though Sarah like completely hates on stupid and useless things like this, she still has the knowledge and keeps all that of like what these spells actually are that are completely pointless, to be able to give out to others, which I love this too. We get the shot from her making the face that FRIEREN always ends up making. Is this just like an elf face? Do they all end up doing this? I don't know, but I love that about just not being happy having to give that to her. We meet our two girls once again, and they end up saying goodbye, and it's nice, quick, and easy. And we talk about final goodbyes one last time and why they're so quick. And of course, you don't want to be embarrassed when you come back. You don't want to break down crying and make it this whole big deal and scene and stuff. And then almost the next time you meet, it just doesn't feel like it means as much, It doesn't. And it's also just embarrassing to you to having to now face that person again after they've seen you in like this sorry state almost. So it's like, let's just like make it short, quick, let each other know that we'll see each other again. I think it's a great thing. And I think that's really sweet. And it continues onwards for our journey to go forward. And I love just flashing through, seeing all the characters a little bit, kind of all bonding again together, going on their journey in their own directions. Wherever it may be. Who is this? I really want to know in the background here with our boy, but who knows, we're slowly going to get there. And with that, the journey will continue onwards, hopefully into another season. There's no reason that it shouldn't. Like, there's no reason that it shouldn't, but who knows how long it's going to end up taking them to kind of create something so great like that again. And we'll just have to leave it as it is for now. We'll talk about the series a little bit as a whole here, I guess, and some thoughts and feelings and stuff towards it. As always, this is not supposed to be like some sort of summary. It's not supposed to be me pulling together and, coming out with like all these like crazy takes and well pieced together, thoughts, and have things like pre-written or something that I'm talking about. I'm just coming off the dome here. And we're gonna figure out some things that I liked and different. Overall, it's hard to capture the feeling almost. And I talked about this a lot in the Steins Gate video. And I think I even mentioned it in Vinland Saga, where it's like, it's so hard to sit down and really piece together your thoughts about something that you've witnessed that is so special. Like, it almost feels like you're doing a disservice to the thing that you are speaking on. Just because, like, no words, no pre-written things, no, like, amount of times rewatching the series, I feel will, like, really equipped you to the point that you can like properly convey the ways that it almost has impacted or made you feel throughout the entire journey that you kind of went on into the piece of media basically that you witnessed, but the lessons along the way that you kind of learned and the attachments that you grew to a lot of different scenarios or characters or maybe certain lines of dialogue and different things that have impacted or affected you in some sort of way. And that's once again a feeling that we're left with here, or I'm left with personally. Where it's almost hard for me to really sum up everything and to the best of my ability. So it's going to be a little difficult to do that, but let me just say, I guess this was an absolute beautiful journey to kind of be on. Arguably one of the best within the top 10 best journeys that I've personally been on when it's come to my anime journey, I would say. And to do it all within 28 episodes is also just a wonderful thing for us to be able to have. And on top of being probably one of the most quality things, easily one of my favorites as well. And I couldn't be more thankful for being able to go through it. With that said, let me do something that I've been meaning to do for 28 weeks. And update my list, and we'll slot it like right over here for right now, and update my list. That looks about good, doesn't it? Putting it right over there, I think that looks good. Putting it within the favorite group, it's only right, it's only fitting. Also, feel free to check out the Mal page if you want. Add me as a friend if you want. The link's in the description. It only feels right. It only feels right to do something along those lines. It's so special to me. There's so many different moments and things that I can recall that were things that, like, maybe I've always felt and I've always thought, and I've just never known how to put them in words in like such a simplistic way. They kind of do it here, and it gets presented in such excellent ways. It's also just like such a fun take on a story that I've never really considered the idea of. I've considered the idea of like a person having to sit there and watch the people around him die and like live throughout that, and like the pain and the things that can kind of come along with that, or through stories where you've seen a character have to see the people around him die many a times over and over and over again, and these are people that he cares deeply for and then has to see that like constantly, right? But I've never considered, let's just have them go and then do the journey afterwards. You know, I'm also so sick of stories that just like, all right, we gotta go fight the Demon King. So the fact that we started before that, my God, am I happy? Like, let's not do that and let's focus on other things. It's like the perfect thing for me. And I absolutely loved it. And I mean, like, I love fantasy stories and some other things that I've kind of seen, but I'm not too familiar within a lot of them, right? Ones that put you in like typical fantasy worlds, right? Not just things that are just kind of made up and use like certain different fantasy elements to them, but just like something that like feels like, and I don't know like the proper way to put it, but like when I think of FRIEREN, I think fantasy, like that's what comes to mind, right? And I think that's like the feeling that you get of thinking of it, of looking at this show, of the way that the music that's used, like there's so much things that just come together to make it have that feeling, to almost give that name and feel like it properly fits within that genre. And that's exactly what this does. So for me, somebody who's not too familiar with all of that, or with a lot of stuff within that genre, or things that have made me kind of feel that way before, it's like a really nice treat to be able to get something that kind of just sticks to his roots almost and like follows down that path. The series really hits the spot too of like kind of getting down to the core, I feel like, of a lot of people, and allowing them to kind of realize the impacts and influence that you can have by doing such simplistic things in life, and to take those times and not have to rush through everything, and almost cherish those things that are very small within your own life, and how important and impactful those things can do. And despite, you know, we explore time at multiple points too. You know, somebody who has lived for so long as FRIEREN, who these small little things don't actually impact her much because they are so small in the grand scale of things for her and her own life, right? But we get to see how all that stuff has been altered by creating such important connections in such short amount of time. I mean, we even see his like earliest moments when we end up getting to see the, what are they, like the phantoms or whatever in the forest, and hers ends up changing from being Flom, somebody who she spent years and years and years with, to somebody who she only ended up spending 10 years with, and somebody like that who impacted and influenced her so much and allowed her to change and want to change and get to know people and change for the better, in changed her in such a short amount of time. It's a crazy thing to really think about, and how those meaningful connections and how that time spent with people who are really just good people and you actually care for and they care for you, can change you and alter you in the path that you're almost kind of going down. And the people that you surround yourself with really do kind of impact you and influence a lot of the stuff that you're going to do and act like and feel throughout life, and really putting a lot of that into perspective in like such a small scale, when we end up meeting a lot of different characters who have those same feelings, almost getting to see that somebody like Himmel was able to realize that at such a young point, and all these other people within the party as well, everybody kind of recognizing that and how important these relationships and stuff are. And even as we go a little bit further into it, you know, remembering that there are people that you need to kind of care for you and treat you in certain ways, or kind of praise you for the good things that you've done, or put you, like, let you know when you've done something that's wrong. And like just having those people there. I mean, Kraft does that multiple times and explains that to us. We get a lot of those lines from Hyder. We get some of them from Denkin as he ends up coming in and trying to like scold people and let them know, like, as they're getting older, you know, giving that wisdom of the older generation almost into the younger one. And I think it's like it all gets wrapped up so nicely together, and means so much to a lot of these characters, and allows, as you're taking on somebody like Fern and even Stark and stuff, you teach them these things, especially when they're young. And that's unfortunate thing is like FRIEREN realistically couldn't comprehend that and make any sense to her, but being able to have somebody like her in this situation explain that to so many other people really does mean so much more. It's one of those things like where people tell you when they're older, like, oh, don't waste this time in your life, or don't do this, or don't like make the same mistake that I made, or something like that, right? And it's just a lot of times you might kind of bypass that, but some people will actually like take in what they say and really think about it for a second, and realize that this person has these regrets and these things, and they're only trying to tell you, just like, don't have any of those, you know, cherish those things and make the most of these small moments and these things that you can, and be there and be in support of these people who actually you care for or care for you, and just be, I don't know, it's so I love it. The thing that's so special about this show, outside of the general writing and the general character interactions and all of that stuff, is just how special every other aspect of it is. It's not just, okay, well, it has really strong writing, but some of this other stuff that's presented to you isn't as strong, or maybe these characters are really strong, but this stuff isn't like as great. It's like everything is absolutely fantastic. Every single thing has something that's memorable to me that I can remember, or it stands out to me above other things within the same genre, within the same field. Just, it's so excellent, where we have something that I think the character designs are absolutely fantastic throughout the show. I mean, I don't know, wouldn't say that they're the best ones that I've ever seen like in anything, but I think they're fantastic and they're really, really excellent. But animation and the effects and everything that they use is so good. I think the overall magic that they kind of use and the way that they display it is done in a way that's similar but very different and unique, in comparison to a lot of other shows that use like very similar systems, in a way. The effects that we use, the sound effects and everything for all of those things are very satisfying and very like things that I can just replay constantly in my head and I can think about. The soundtrack that we kind of follow and the OST is so fantastic and so excellently placed. Along every single different scene, there's always a different song that fits perfectly for it, whether it's just traveling or whether it's something that needs to be serious, and whatever it is, it's always excellently just placed to a point that elevates that scene so much more. The animation is fucking insane. Some of the episodes are outstanding completely, but even in the episodes that aren't supposed to be as impressive, or maybe aren't as like focused on like fighting or like certain scenes that are supposed to like pop out like that, they have these subtle little things, whether it's the clothing animation is so like unreal on a lot of moments in the show. Every time Stark puts on a damn jacket, it's crazy, or Fern takes off like her shit, or in one of the episodes that I recall, it's like there's so many like different little moments, the motions and the movements of the characters being all timed so perfectly, and feeling like when we're picking up something or we're doing something, they have extra weight to them, right? The different scenes that I can kind of recall, FRIEREN walking into one of the rooms that they got at some place and her having like a stack of books and she accidentally like stumbles with them, or she has to stop and like bounce them up to like regain like her balance almost. It's like small little things like that have such like big impacts on like me, but I think like the overall product that you kind of are putting out, because it shows such attention to detail that you maybe don't always get with a lot of other series and a lot of other things, because you can just kind of skip past that and it won't change the narrative or anything too much, but realistically it does impact and influence the actual product and thing that you're watching, and it makes you feel the passion and the care and the things that are like really thought out that they're trying to put throughout the story. And I think it's so good. I think the first OP was fantastic. The second one was really good. I think the sequence, like the visuals for the second one, I like a lot more than the first one, but I like the first song a lot more. The ED being the same song, but a continuation of it. But I think that the visuals on both of them, I couldn't even tell you which one I like more. They're both phenomenal. And I absolutely love those. Where it's funny too, because like a lot of the songs, or especially the first OP, I felt wasn't like, it didn't fit, like it almost didn't feel like that to me. But as the story kind of progressed and you got used to it and like read the lyrics a little bit more and everything, it all started to feel like it fit a lot more. It just sonically like was almost like, hold on, what the fuck are we doing here? But it definitely changed up, and I absolutely thought it was great. The characters are like really a shining point of the series as well, because I have no clue how to sit down and tell you my thoughts and feelings about so many of the characters. So briefly, I guess that we'll just touch on them, because I absolutely didn't dislike, I don't think, a single person that we met. While certain ones I clearly liked much more than others, but they were all done so excellent. They all had some fun, really unique and just cool designs to them. Made them really stand out. I think FRIEREN's great, fantastic MC for us to have. Somebody who you can kind of put yourself into their shoes a little bit, about almost having like regrets of the past and kind of moving forward over time, and trying to improve those aspects of your life and change for the better. I think that you could say, which I think is great. But then having somebody like Himmel, who like everybody wishes they had a Himmel in their fucking life, which is unfortunate. You know, like he's literally him. I absolutely love him. He's fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if I have to go back to my Mal at some point here and update him onto the character list. Right now we're gonna hold off, but he's so excellent. Every time there's a scene with him, you just know you're gonna be getting something like insane kind of being dropped on you. It's so crazy how thoughtful he was and how almost understanding he was as well. I don't know. He's such a great addition, and I absolutely love the way of storytelling and flashing between past and present. And I know I complained about it, I think in like the first or second episode, where I was like, I wish that we developed that a little bit more and then move past it. But I think it actually works so excellent, and it's one of those things I wish I could take back the way I felt or said, but it's so excellently done. Absolutely love Fern. Her pouting faces are S tier. She is such a fun character to have, and such a good contrast to have with FRIEREN, and kind of keeping each other in check, and each of them having things that like the other one like thinks is just like dumb about it or something. I don't know. They work so well together. Stark's great. I absolutely love him. I know a lot of people said in the earlier episodes when he was introduced that they didn't like, people who read the manga said that they like didn't care for him too much or anything, like, which is weird to me because I absolutely love him, and every time he was on scene or on screen, I was very excited. So that's why the second arc was a little unfortunate to like miss out and not have him the entire time. But he was great. I absolutely loved him. Other standout characters, Denkin I think was great. I really enjoyed having him and the little things that we got out of him. Hopefully we get a lot more of him, and can see him a bit more going forward. Yubel, everybody knows I'm down beyond horrendous for her, so hopefully they continue to put her in the story going forward, because I absolutely need that. I mean, what else can you ask for? It's literally like everything about her is peak design. Like there's nothing wrong with her, so I absolutely love it. I think a lot of the other characters we meet throughout the exam is really cool. I liked Land a lot, even though we didn't get to know a lot about him. I think it's just that mystery of not knowing so much about him that made me really like him. And then a lot of the other characters are fantastic too. But I don't want to sit here all day just going one by one with all of them. Sign, I don't want to skip him. He was a great addition for us to be able to have, despite how short-lived it was. I'd be interested to see if they go forward at some point, and end up meeting up with him, whether it's to conclude the journey that he went on, where he ultimately wasn't able to find his friend, and then he decides he's just going to continue to be an adventurer and live out the things maybe that his friend didn't end up having that opportunity to do, or what it would end up being. I don't know, but I would love to be able to have them all come back together, or at least meet up at some point, whether we have to part ways soon, but just be able to spend a little bit of time together would be cool. I think my favorite episode is episode 14. I said it, I think, in one of the comments before, but it's something about the conversation that Hyder ended up having with FRIEREN about like kind of faking it as an adult the entire time and still trying to figure out exactly who he is and like what he's trying to do and what he's trying to be, but still like also being there and wanting to like be that person who like praises somebody else and like is there for them in like a lot of the moments, and you know will continue to allow her to live on the legacy of her you know, and have somebody who can constantly like remember the good things and the great things that she's done over time, and she won't end up being forgotten based on all of that. Like something about that conversation was so excellent to me. On top of we get like the the whole like proposal scene and all the other things that happened. Like the episode was so jam packed that I think was absolutely my favorite scene for us to have. And just the entire first core, and by first core I'm talking about till the exam arc. So up until episode, was it 17? And I think even 17 they switched over, but I'm going to say until 18 because 18 is when we actually started the exam to begin. But basically those first 17 are like absolutely phenomenal, of a great display of just how excellently paced the show is. That's probably, I think, the best thing that I can give it. Best compliment I can give it is this is one of, if not the best paced show I've ever watched. Giving everything time to breathe, not having to force down like a gross amount of dialogue and boring conversations that we don't care about, not having to, I don't know, like it's so excellent. Like what show, just like stops in the middle of an exam arc and just gives you a whole episode to breathe and just have characters like mess around with each other and like explore the town. Like that doesn't happen, And I think like it's so good because all the chapters are probably longer, not due to not being like 20-page chapters, and being able to have each of them kind of tell some sort of story and then be able to connect that going a little bit forward. So then being able to pace them in a way that you can fit two within a single episode is great. I mean, and just like you get so many different moments where you can montage through and like have people walking through as they're journeying onwards, and then the music and everything elevates them so much more that it creates like such a special moment, such a atmospheric thing. I don't know, absolutely fantastic. The exam arc was interesting. It's a risky thing, I would say, because of the almost rapid change of pace of what we're kind of doing, going from the typical formula of, okay, every episode we have like two different stories almost playing out, or like two that might be connected in some sort of way, but the way that they end up playing out. And some of them, I mean, of course, because we're continuing constantly, so they're developing. And while we did have some earlier that lasted over like 2 or 3 different episodes and are trying to tell some sort of story, this was like largely different from the typical like journeying and meeting people and different things along the way that we were having. It was more of, okay, you're going to be confined in this location for 12 episodes now and kind of explore through what has to happen for you to advance a little bit further. So there's a little bit of a risk in there because it changes the formula from what a lot of people are used to. And it was a little difficult for me to adjust to, I would say, at first. And I didn't really love, I think like episode 18, 19 in specific are like the two that I was like, it took me a little bit to like wrap my head around, but especially upon like rewatch of them through like my edit, and then like even I took in my own time to like give them a chance and just like pick up on some things and like see like maybe what I didn't like or anything. I think it was literally just the instant, like the way that we changed the pacing I didn't love, but now reflecting on it, it all works. And the way that you can look at the entire arc as a whole, it like fits perfectly and it makes plenty of sense. Like the reasons for what we're doing and the ability to have something so like simple like this that can explore and expand so many different characters in the world that you're kind of in so much more by giving all of them kind of actual depth and backstory, which I think is wonderful. So there's no real complaints that kind of came afterwards. While I still think the first arc itself was a little weak of the first test, not the first arc, but the first test of the exam was a little weak in comparison. I think the other two really were excellent, especially the second one I think was really, really well done. And I don't really have any complaints about that stuff going forward. And for that, I think this show's literally just a complete masterpiece front to back. While, like I said, it took me a little bit to adjust to that at some point. I think there's so much to take from this, and there's so much that if you do have a moment that feels a little bit slow, you can't just like judge it, well, this episode wasn't perfect, so there's, this show is automatically like ruined or isn't as good or anything. It's like, if you look at it and what they're trying to accomplish and the bigger picture of what's happening, and then you can look back on it and reflect on it as a whole and the way that it kind of works together and ended up like what it contributed towards in the long run, I think it made itself pretty well known of how great it actually was the whole way through. We're going to give it some time to sit, and I'm going to reflect on it, and I'll probably think about it, and I'll probably rewatch it many times throughout the years until the new season at some point we would hope end up coming out. And really think about like how I feel about certain things and like what I loved and didn't in certain moments. But realistically, I would probably give this a full 10 out of 10, if not extremely high 9, and that could change at any point. We could fluctuate up and down, but this is one of those rare ones, once again, where it's very hard to kind of come by something of this quality, of this, that piques my interest and caters towards me so much as well. And I think does absolutely everything so excellent that it deserves praise of that. And I'm not somebody who gives out, you know, high ratings like that all the time, specifically as a 10. So this is it's a big deal, you know. Thank you very much though to everybody who joined. That's gonna be enough yapping for me. I can't really wrap my head around anything else I want to say. Sure, I'm gonna regret everything I did ended up saying in the way I worded it and want to, you know, re-record it and feel like I missed out on so much when I'm doing the edit, but we're just gonna let it live. And I'm gonna let the discussions and, you know, my thoughts and feelings and stuff all the way through all the episodes kind of speak for themselves about how much I enjoyed this. I hope everybody else enjoyed this just as much as I have. Thank you so much for all the support and everything throughout all the episodes in this long journey that we began on back at the, when was it, beginning of October. Let me know your feelings on the series overall down below. Give me your favorite episode or your favorite character or your favorite moment or your favorite scene or just anything that you got. Let me know what stands out about this in comparison to other things. Maybe if there's things that you didn't like too, let me know. I'd love to kind of just see everybody's thoughts and opinions on this overall and how you feeling. That's all I got. If you liked it all, hit the like and subscribe. Do me a lot. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave any comments with this episode or series. Give some recommendations for things for us to watch with the spring season starting to come back up. And beginning very, very soon. And hopefully, you know, we find some good things and we can begin having another good journey with something else very, very shortly. Hopefully we come back and get another season at some other point here, whether it takes them 2 or 4 or 5 years. I hope it doesn't take that long, but if it has to and we have to let them cook, we have to let them cook. And hopefully we do get to come back at some other point. Once again, thank you guys very much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you hopefully soon for something else. Have a good one. Peace.